Repeat, the weekly podcast giving you an insight into the minds of musicians with me, Ellie Rashid.
And me, Hattie Winter.
This week we're getting into the world of hip-hop and performance with Nigel, aka Prez 96, who's had an eclectic career spanning across all facets of the music business.
From battle rapper to hype man to producer in his own right, with Nigel, you name it, he's done it. His latest challenge has been co-composing the music for theatre production Canary and the Crow, plus he facilitates workshops for young people at the award-winning mobile studio Beats Bus.
And in this episode we touch on his career journey. Nigel lets us in on working with young people and creating workshops, how to feel the fear and do it anyway, and of course the challenge of collaborating and producing. So, kicking off the interview in true on repeat fashion, here's a selection of Nigel's beat, All Good, to get you in the mood for the rest of the podcast.
My name's Nigel. I go by the name of Prez 96. I am a composer, an actor, and workshop facilitator based in Hull. That's it, man. So I used to be in doing finance, and it was good money, but it was just dry. So I did that for maybe 4 years, and then we set Beats Bus up. And about a year into having Beats Bus, and it was going well, I just made the jump. So I think I've been self-employed musician or just hustler for about 1.5 years now, which is cool.
So before finance then, were you doing music as well?
Yeah. I used to be in a band called End of Level Baddie. And we used to wear masks and play alternative electro, and I was a front man, a bit of a producer. And we did that for for about 8-10 years. We had a good lifestyle out of it, met a lot of cool people. And it was blessed. But then I really got into, my mates really were like, you need to get teaching young people about making music. And I was like, that sounds a bit dry. I just want to be a star. And working with young people is addictive and it's really rewarding. And once I gave it a try and realized that's probably more my gift. So yeah, I've been doing that consistently and doing really well. I'm happy.
No, that's amazing, because we've been speaking to a few people who also are musicians with that kind of educator background.
Cool.
And I'm a music practitioner as well. And I think what you're saying about just kind of wanting to be a star at first is so common. So many people have that, and they think teaching's this kind of backup option. But when you get into it, you realize that actually this is all part of the craft.
For real.
What were your first steps with teaching?
Yeah, well, my best mate, he was a tutor. Well, he still is. And he still is my best mate. But yeah, he was getting a lot of bookings doing these hip hop workshops. And he was kind of formulating his own way of doing stuff, really focusing on a positive mindset through hip hop. And I'm a positive guy. And he was like, man, you rap and you're a positive guy and, you get on with people and stuff. You need to get into this. So, and I think he bugged me for months, but I was real focused on trying to scrape back onto Radio 1 and 1Extra, in sporadic chunks and stuff like that. And then eventually, I just went down to do a couple of workshops with him. And I was like, yeah, this is really blessed. We have a wealth of knowledge, and these young people are really interested and will get a lot of benefit out of what we're doing. And yeah, I really did actually, I know it sounds cheesy, but I just fell in love with teaching. And I obviously I did a lot of personal development. I did 2 years where I was just like insanely obsessed with personal development. So I read loads of books on like positive mindset. I literally changed my life, and I fashioned that into like a workshop for young people. And then that was what I was doing before. I was doing this one workshop, which was about what goes on in your mind before you do a show and how you overcome nerves and obviously how you deliver a great show.
Awesome.
And then after that, once I worked out how to do that, now I just sort of freestyle my lessons a lot. It's a lot more relaxed. I've been doing it for years, well, a couple of years now. And I just get in the room and just see what people want to do and just make something up, which works.
That's amazing.
Cheers.
What are the exercises of combating your fears, getting over your nerves? Because I feel like I'm nervous all the time. Any tips?
Yeah,
I want the tips as well.
For real. Step one is obviously just accepting that you are going to be nervous and it's a normal thing. And I feel like when you try and fight it, it's like you've got nerves and then you're beating yourself up for being nervous, and it's just too much going on. And I think as well, I'm really just accepting that what will be will be. Everyone that's coming to see you perform usually are positive people, and you need to obviously remember that the crowd is also a bit nervous as well. It's a bit mad. Like the crowd, if you get up on stage and they can see you're nervous, they get a little bit nervous. And I feel like just teaching that the crowd is like kind of like a mirror, and just play with it and just go out and just be as confident as you are, and you will always get that confidence back. And then there was like a few other things, like actual things that I'd advise, like practice makes perfect. The more practice you do, the less nervous you're going to be. So if you're kind of winging stuff, that's where your nerves come from. But if you know your stuff and you know your craft, and it will help you to be confident. So that's it in a nutshell.
That is amazing. And I totally agree with the practice. The more practice that you have under your belt, the better you feel.
It is important for people to know that it's an everyday thing to be nervous, and B, the more practice you do, the less nervous you're going to feel. So do your work before you get on stage and enjoy it.
It's such an interesting thing, though, actually, what we're talking about, because it's something that seems so obvious, but it's almost forgotten about when we teach, because you think, we need to be teaching about the technicalities of the music. And there's not very much about like how to hold yourself on stage in relation to confidence. And I liked what you were talking about with the kind of energy mirror and the way audiences soak up what you give. And I've definitely had it on stage where, I will actually feeling like I'm going to piss myself because I'm so nervous. But if you can give off some kind of air of confidence, it does make a difference,
For real, man.
It really does. But it's no credit to you though, because it's such a difficult thing to kind of hone in on that point and then find creative ways of demonstrating it. And I think that's wonderful. I want to be part of your workshop.
Oh man, we'd like to have you down, man.
Count me in.
Yeah, I mean, we are actually, we've got some seed funding to research into a new project, which is, we're thinking it's going to be called the Hip Hop School of Excellence, but there's various issues why we can't call it a university, we can't call it a school, so we don't know what it's going to be called. But yeah, the aim is to have some lessons with people. It's not just about music, it's about healthy eating, it's about personal development, it's about rehabilitation into society. So we're just doing a research project now on seeing what we can offer that is going to give people a better chance of getting back into mainstream education and mainstream society. So yeah, there's lots of really interesting things coming out with that soon. Fingers crossed.
Are you already working with kind of young people that are on that outside of education?
Yeah, of course. That's what we're really bothered about. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go into schools and then you're like, yeah, well, this is good. But where are the kids that aren't already in school? Oh, they're in the community centre. So you go down to the community centre and you're like, yo, this is what we do. We're positive. We're hip hop. We like making music. And then they're like, oh yeah, this is really good. But then there's loads of kids that aren't in school or the community centers, and they're the people that we really want to work with, because either you kind of preaching to the converted, but the kids already in school, they're already going along the track, and that's where we want to. Yeah. So when we realize that, we just realize that, look, let's just go to an estate. We've got a big 7.5 ton bus with speakers, and it's all graffitied and stuff. And we'll just go to an estate, we'll play music, and we'll just spread a positive message. And those are the people we want to connect with, the people that are just hanging around. And as everyone knows, you know how it is. If you ain't in school, you're hanging around, 80% of the time, you're just going to end up in the wrong hands. And that's what we're trying to avoid. These guys like that, they're experts at finding kids that have got nothing better to do, and obviously sell them whatever dream they're trying to sell them for whatever personal gain they're trying to get. And I would say they are dangerous people. Like they really do prey and prey on people that are just not in mainstream education. They know what to say, give them little gifts. Oh, look at this guy, he's got really nice clothes. And it's all manipulation, really. I know we're getting a little bit deep here, but this is the exact core of people that we're just trying to bring back and take them to safety, really, through hip hop.
It really reminds me of some conversations I've had with some of my music facilitation peers. We went to a conference that was run by a company called Roadworks. They say very similar things, but their focus is drill with basically, I think it's just men, age sort of around 16, 17, 18. It's exactly that kind of thing. But I also think taking a genre like hip hop is really amazing, because you're really listening or doing what they want to do, hopefully. And is that something you thought of, or is it something that you knew you could do well? Or I'm just interested in the hip hop now.
I really respect and I love the fact that there are people out there that are doing what we're doing through drill music. I feel like age group thing, we're mid-30s, so hip hop was what we kind of grew up in and what we know more. And also with hip hop, it's about the 5 elements. So you've got the DJ, the graffiti guy, the rapper. You've also got someone that does breakdancing, and then you've got someone that's the guy that deals with knowledge. So the reason why we chose hip hop really was because it accepts everybody that's got a skill, really. Like, we've got like people we mentor. Some people don't like rapping. They don't like it. But give them an iPad and they'll design a cover for a single that one of the other kids is going to put out. So I feel like hip hop is real. It's just inclusive. Like, some guy that, we've got a graffiti guy who does all our branding. He's amazing, but he can't DJ. He can DJ actually. One time we did a No More Knives launch, and it was with the police. And like, we were all networking like crazy. So I was like, oh, do you mind jumping on the decks? And obviously we can, we're doing, and this guy, honestly, he just played NWA F the Police. I couldn't believe it. He thought it was hilarious because that's how he is. He's against like establishment and stuff, which is cool. We like that. We like that little bit of stuff. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So no matter who you are, as long as you've got a talent, drawing, dancing, whatever, there's space for you in hip hop. And I'm not sure I'd be able to translate that to drill very easily. Just maybe because that's not what I know really well. But yeah, some people, especially the 16ers, are like, oh, hip hop. It's a bit dated, isn't it?
They think it's dated. Oh my God.
It's like the grandparent of drill, essentially.
Yeah, for real. And it's great because people are being able to pick up where we're not able to excel, which is really cool. So I'm going to check these people out. Yeah, we're too old, man. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? Grime, yeah. Drill, come on, man. Like, I can't, no, it's not for me, man. I can't do it.
I love what you're saying about hip hop being inclusive as well. And what about ages then? So what kind of, what's the age range of the workshops that you do, and how inclusive is hip hop to all of those ages?
Yeah, I mean, we've done workshops recently that was for over 65, and like, no,
wow.
yeah, it was probably like, yeah, shout to them.
Amazing.
Shout to them. It was probably my favorite workshop I ever did. It was emotional, man. Like even from the start, my mate, my business partner, he's like our camera guy, and he was taking pictures, and he was saying, "Oh, ladies, do you mind, obviously, if we take pictures of you?" And one of them even said, like, "No one ever wants to take pictures of us," and I never even thought about it, you know, because obviously when you ask children, they're like, they're all used to phones.
Here I am.
Exactly. Yeah. It's something that is. And then I realized, yo, we're doing something here, because she was like, and I was like, really? She's like, yeah, nobody really notices us. And that's what I know. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit emotional. Nobody notices us. And anyway, we did this amazing workshop where we just talked about their lives, and we asked about just fully about their experiences. There was nothing to do with Beats Bus. We just had an hour talking to them about what they wanted to talk to. Then we turned it into a rap, and he all performed it. And I feel like they really got a lot of benefit out of it, and so did we. But at the same time, we've done, you know, workshops. I think probably our average age is probably from 10 to about 15. They're probably the main ages that we mentor, because we mentor kids as well, where if you come and you do a workshop and, you know, you're cool and we all get on, we'll mentor you for free. So we'll give you free studio time, we'll produce your tunes, we'll give you gigs and stuff. So yeah.
That's amazing. And it's also really amazing to see, to hear about something that's not going on in London. Because I do find that so much sort of music outreach is happening in the capital. And I get it. There's, 9 million people in London. There's a big demand. But yeah, so much can just only be happening here. And I just think so many young people probably do miss out because they're just that much too far. They can't get to London easily for workshops and events. So it's really good to see something going, particularly in like the north as well.
Yeah. And whole like, yeah, it's not, I mean, yeah, we have actually been down to London to do some workshops, and people like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I was like, I was just assuming that you'd have loads of people like this, but we're kind of lucky because I suppose the people on the bus, we really genuinely love what we do. And I think that carries across well. But yeah, you're right. The reason why it is a bus is so we can go places. And that's what it was designed for, to be mobile and go to estates where, they don't have the opportunity to go to the city centre and do workshops. So yeah, it's nice that, that's been noticed.
Definitely. It's also really good that you're working with the over 65s. I think particularly with what's going on, I think I saw some of their the most lonely kind of sector of society, which is really, really, really sad.
For real, man. For real. It was emotional workshop, and it still is emotional because we're still in contact with a lot of them. We're still looking to do some work with some of them, and some of them used to be able to, not used to, but some of them trained to play keys. And then when we brought the keyboard in it, I could see one of the ladies was just looking at it, and I was like, do you know how to play? And she was unsure. But then obviously we just showed her the bass line and she's playing, people are singing over. And I think that's also really important for people to realize how blessed and gifted you are. And just because you haven't been, called up to do a gig or on stage recently, you shouldn't lose a bit of your shine. And that's what we try and bring out with people as well.
A little bit more about your music making, because you were saying that initially you wanted to be a star and things like that. So where did that start on your music making front?
All right, yeah. So my first my first the first thing I ever did was I was a battle rapper. So
Oh, sick.
yeah, I know, man. Like, and I really enjoyed it because I think there was a time where you could just get on stage, you could just battle someone. It was all genuine freestyle. You look at someone and say, have a format. So I would laugh at someone's hair, definitely the t-shirt, any dead trainers, or whack jeans. And that's the only format I have. If you brought some friends to the club or girlfriends, they would get laughed at. And honestly, it was so fun. In fact, my business partner now, that's how we met. We met at MC Battle, and we had such mutual respect because I thought I was gonna I beat him, but the next guy he just killed me. He was just amazing, and he's still like a mentor to me. And it's amazing that we all met at MC Battle, and 15 years later, he's my best mate. We're running the business together. He's been round my house today, helping me do some gardening. And there was a lot of mutual respect with MC battling, but unfortunately, it just reached a stage where the skill level started going down and the ego level started going up, and it just kind of got really ruined. I'm only speaking from where I was based in Hull. So unfortunately, the hip hop, there were loads of fights, and then what happened was the club owners started to really profile hip hop events. So we just got shut down. Like, it must have been a couple of years where only one small club would ever allow a hip hop night. So naturally, what everyone does is go underground and start doing other stuff. So then, my mate he was a producer. He's called End Level Baddie, very quirky. A lot of it was like Beastie Boys remixes, hard electro, and I was just a front man for him as well. So yeah, after obviously, he'd been he would get all his simps out, and he'd have actually like a tower, you know, them old school computer towers, and he'd have simps all over the table and masks he would wear, and then I would just join him as an MC, and it was just really simple lyrics like clap to the rhythm and skank. Nothing too difficult to understand, but it was all about getting people together and having good energy and good vibes and encouraging people to party, really. And then I did that for like maybe about 10 years. And, you know, I really learned a lot about performing on stage. I mean, you go to some raves and there might be two people there, and he's got his computer, simps everywhere. We've both got our masks and there's two people. And I learned a lot about myself on that time. And that's when I realized the crowd is a mirror, because it was that empty. I just said to him, let's just go for it. Let's just give it our all. Like, let's just go over the top. And these two people became four, and they were that close to us like that for the whole gig. Yeah. And like, it was weird, but, it was weird. And I realized at that point that if I'd just gone and been like, oh, let's just get through it, this is really embarrassing, they would have been embarrassed for us. So that's where I realized that the crowd, and that's part of the teaching that I teach now, came from that. So yeah, I started off as a battle rapper, moved into electro, and then I started getting into production. Just because on Beats Bus, we didn't have a producer. And so I started getting into production, using Ableton, started, you know, really getting my head around Ableton. Then I found Native Instruments and started using them, their instruments, because obviously the sound quality was just massively jumped up when I got into NI stuff. And then, like, just, hey, it is what it is, man. Like, people say, what are the main things that have helped you? And definitely sound quality is a big thing. It makes you look and sound professional. You can be, like, I was doing stuff using old breaks and stuff, and it's all really good, but everyone wants quality at the moment. And then I started doing some storytelling hip hop, and a theatre company picked up a song that I'd done. And they were like, oh, you can make hip hop and tell stories. And I directed the video. It was like 5 minutes long. And they really liked it. So then I started writing music for musicals. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I mean, most of my work, it's about 50-50.
That is amazing. You have such an amazing career history. I was looking forward to talking to you and being like, how does it work with finance? But you quit the finance and you're doing all these amazing things which are 10 times better than the finance.
Yeah. And obviously not having any work has been sad, but some of the theatre companies paid me for the work anyway. So I'm really grateful to them. We've not really, they don't mind me sharing the information, but I've not said too much about it. But from the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful. So it's just allowed me really to just focus a bit more now on composing. So we're writing another musical called There Should Be Unicorns, and it's about young people and it's about hip hop. And I had you down to be coming actually. It should have been demoed on May the 2nd and it should be on tour now. Which is a big shame, but I think it's been pushed back till next year. So we will see. Hopefully this virus will just get off.
I want to come, man. I want to go.
We had 2 months of solid touring lined up. From all over the country. We were going to be in Brighton for a week. It was just we're really looking forward to, just playing them sort of things. But, unfortunately it's not happening. But there is going to be a lot of life with Canary and the Crow. So I don't want to say too much, but fingers crossed. We're going to see it evolve into a new format, which we're really excited about. But who knows what's going to happen with the theatre industry?
Yeah. Oh, tell me about it. My best actually has he probably the same as me. I've got so many actor and director friends, and I just feel really worried for them. They're such talented people sitting at home, and I think we're quite lucky as musicians, really. Like you were saying, yes, we can't do our normal work and carry it out in the way that we might have done, but it's been an amazing time to write more.
Yeah, for real.
Compose more. And you were saying, the podcast we're doing have just been a blessing. And I actually had a moment yesterday of just feeling really completely blessed about it.
I think we both did, right?
I think we both simultaneously. I don't know what it is about us two, actually. We do have these simultaneous moments. So whether it's both been oh, shall we talk another time? I'm actually really tired. Or just I'm feeling so blessed about this whole thing. How lucky are we that we're able to do this in this period? Come in. But no, that's amazing. I don't know if you found this actually. I've definitely found it it's such a nightmare if you're collaborating with someone on the music side. So I'm sure composing on your own, maybe I don't know, for example, if you make a beat and someone else does lyrics on top, fine, that's fairly straightforward. But I've got a really complex album I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And we've already recorded the stuff in the studio. So we're trying to select
certain
vocals and instruments and figure out arrangements. It's so hard to do over the phone.
Yeah, I'm telling you now, it killed me. We are still right. Well, in fact, I said we need to just hold off until we can get back into the room together. Because I was trying to write a whole nother musical as well. And I was I know your pain. It's like you're trying to make a curry and you've got 3 chefs in 3 separate kitchens. And
yes,
it's
yes, I love that. I also love that. I love curry and I love that analogy. Thank you.
And this guy, I like lentils, but there's too many in it. And then the next guy's oh, I wanted it more tomatoey. So, but when you're in the room, I feel we never appreciated how good it is to write music together where you can just look at someone and say, are you feeling this? Are you feeling? Yeah. And I'm so excited. Working remotely as a musician, is quite good, but if you're doing a collaborative project, it's very difficult, to be fair. And we should be grateful that one day we can get back and sit with people and
We'll be together.
yeah.
Look him in the eye,
Yeah.
not over Zoom.
Yeah, when you look someone in the eye, like, you feeling it? He's like, nah, I don't like it. It's only a 2-minute job. You can write something else.
Yeah, we should definitely talk more about Canary. So this was at the Arcola Theatre in London. And were you anywhere else? Was that?
Yeah, so before the Arcola, we were at Edinburgh. Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So we were there for a month. And then like we did like a tour with Payne's Plough, they're like a really great facilitator of like new theatre, I suppose. So we did a tour with them where we went to like loads of different places. I can't remember many, but like Bournemouth and Salford and kind of like small places, a few seaside places. It was cool. You know, we went and we showcased the same show, but in so many different places and had so many different responses. But what was amazing is when we went down to London, we felt like, this was the home of the show. And that's not throwing a shade to Edinburgh, because we had an amazing, unbelievable run in Edinburgh. But when we went to London, like, we felt like it was good vibes, and the story was something that was important to be told. So
Yes.
yeah, for the listeners,
Definitely.
the story is about a black boy that gets accepted into a prestigious school, and it's about the unsaid racism that he faces and the journey that he has to go through his identity. It's like, do you leave behind your culture in order to fit in a society? And if you do that, are you going to be happy with the results? So that's realistically what the story was about. And I felt in London, it was a younger, a bit more urban audience. Like, the music is grime, is based around soul, grime and hip hop. And I felt like it played into the hands of what people, and garage, old school garage, that people wanted to hear. And I just felt like the response in London was really special.
I think you've definitely hit the nail on the head that maybe it suited London quite a lot, because it's such a pertinent story. But I really resonated with it because I went to like a crappy comprehensive. I mean, I look back and I'm like, it was mad, but you grow up through it and it's normal. And then I went to sixth form in an ex-grammar school. It was like just totally like a whole new experience for me. Here were people who were like, both of their parents were university lecturers.
Yeah.
I was like, that is just it's a totally different world from what I grew up in and what I knew. And I definitely didn't feel I fit in very well. And then I think with London, poverty and wealth side by side. And I don't know if you get it so much in other cities. London is so divided like that. And then I also think, looking back on it, it was a very timely story for what's going on right now. And
yeah, that's the thing with Dan. Dan is a writer who's also an actor and the lead, and the story is it's really about himself. Obviously, there's some license where he's maybe dramatized things, but the actual story is pretty accurate to his life. We've played shows and some of people from his school have come and they were like, oh, I remember that happening and stuff like that. So there's a lot of truth in it. And I feel like me and Dan are really different people. I let a lot of stuff just go over my head. Sometimes I'm not really a present person, but Dan really internalizes these things and asks himself, why did this happen? And what does it mean to me? And it's all those little things that most people skate over. I feel like that's why it's resonated with people, because those little things translate to everybody's story. And sometimes it's not even about being black or white. It's about being other. And he was saying like a woman who walks into their workplace for the first time has that feeling. And I never even thought about that. Like I've always worked in environments where there's a lot of men, a lot of lads. And then like when a woman or a female walks in, all of a sudden the air changes. And obviously from her point of view, it makes her feel outside of that group. And yeah, I mean, I'm in the show, but I can't take credit. I do think the writing is really good, and credit to Dan. I think he's won quite a few awards, and
I can see why it's
yeah,
really good.
now we need to come up with something even better. Go on, Dan.
Yeah, the bar set so high. Thinking about like the music side, how did you change your approach to kind of composing for a production? Was there much change, or was it kind of the same?
Oh, big change, yeah. It was a jump up in skill. Like where I was, like just say on the timeline of being a great producer, I was like on number 30, and I got in the room with these cello. I had Rachel. She's on the top grade you can get on cello and piano. So, and then you've got Laurie, who's on like whatever is a grade 8 on cello. Through the other composer, again, he's like, they're all virtuosos, and they're like, what can you play? I'm like, the computer. And yeah, and do you know what? Halfway through writing Canary in the Crow, I was like, that's when I switched over to native instruments, and I went down on a training course to SSR for a 3-day intensive course, came back and just started writing everything on native. So even that was very awkward because everything in the room is so quick. They're like, Dan would be reading the text, and then the cello people would just be like quickly knocking out these rhythms, and then there's me trying to like capture all the information, produce it. It was certainly daunting. I wasn't ready for the opportunity, but we got there in the end. And now we're writing more stuff. I'm a lot more aware of what I need to do. But yeah, it was intimidating, and it was humbling as well. Maybe in the hip hop world, me and my mates are like, oh yeah, Nigel, he's all right. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Yeah. When you get around people that are playing the cello as they're acting and walking backwards and then putting it down and then just picking up the piano and playing and then singing, I realized that, yeah, I need to humble myself. And it was good.
You rose to the challenge, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I think if you work hard enough, I think anyone can do it, because I have never done any acting before. And I think the week before we were going to go live, I broke down. I rang the director. I was like, bro, you're a fool for ever getting me involved in this. I don't know anything about acting. And you're just a crazy guy. I mean, why did you take this chance? I'm going to ruin it for everyone. And he was just like, no, just trust in the process. And I feel like, again, that experience is something that I take into my workshops, where you feel like you're inadequate. You know, Dan, Rachel, Laurie are all really good actors. They've been in quite big productions before. They were just flying through this work, and I was always floundering with my bits of paper that weren't in the right order. I didn't highlight anything. So I always tell people to just trust in the process, and you'll be amazed at what you can do if you really, really try hard. So yeah, it was cool.
So we're talking about the Canary and the Crow and doing the music and getting involved with it. But like, how did you get involved with it? Like, how were you found?
No, I mean, to be fair, it was just luck. I'd done this tune called Kidnap Rap, and it's not an aggressive song. All right. It was genuinely, I'm not bigging myself up, but it in terms of the lyrics and the story, it was like a mini film, and it was really, really good. But because obviously I work with kids and the subject, it kind of like, I basically didn't promote it at all. But I did send it to the theatre company and said, oh, by the way, I make this I make this type of stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, we like it. And then I did a gig for them as end-level baddie because they were doing theatre in nightclubs. They were trying to take theatre into new spaces to get new audiences to understand theatre doesn't have to be hoity-toity. So they do it in a nightclub. They might do it in a car park, all sorts of different. So they got me to, they did a show called All We Ever Wanted, which was a smasher. I think it got 5 stars in The Guardian. I think it, you know, other bigger companies wanted to buy the show. So I did the gig. And then at the end of the gig, they were like, oh, let's keep in contact. And then almost a year to the day of that gig, I had a contract to say, do you want to write some music? And you may have to do a few lines. I was like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, of course I want to write. What, you want me to just like make hip hop for a musical? That sounds sick. And then I got there and I got my script and I was like, oh yeah, there's quite a few lines in here, but don't worry. You know, I'm only in like 3 scenes, but as you know, from watching it, if you're not talking, it's because you're doing something.
You're on the stage.
You're on the stage for 77 minutes. There's no rest time. So, so I literally I almost felt like they just cajoled me into it, really. They were like, just do a bit of hip hop. Then they were like, oh, just do a few lines. And by the end of it, it was like a full production. So yeah, very grateful for Middle Child for taking a chance on me. And we're on our 3rd project together now. So it's worked into a great relationship.
Yeah. Wonderful piece of luck, but also hard work.
Yes.
I think you could also say.
Yeah.
And obviously you spoke about being a battle rapper.
Yeah.
Again, this is going all over the shop.
Yeah, go for
being
it.
a battle rapper. And I just wondered, like, does that mean you're a really good lyricist?
I used to be. I feel like everyone's got different music brains. So before I could produce, all I had was a paper and a pen. And like, I really, really, and also I was a lot freer. I was a young guy, like, didn't have like stuff to pay for and didn't have to behave myself. I just was so free. And, you know, lyrics was just a way to be really free and open. And I feel like obviously now doing what I do, I have to be careful. I think it was actually Kidnap Rap. I got in a lot of trouble from funders as well. I mean, they were like, what are you playing at? Like, you're crazy. And that really, that broke my heart. Cause I was like, you don't understand it. It's a story and I thought it was brilliant. I still do. I stand by it. But then I realized I've got to be very careful with what I put out and stuff. So, I just thought I'll just make beats. So yeah, in terms of battle rapping as well, it's a very ego thing. But again, I'm older now. I'm more relaxed. You know, I don't feel like I have to overcome anything anymore. So yeah, I feel like, you know, my missus will probably agree. My lyrics now aren't as good as they used to be, but the music that I compose is really good. And I'm lucky to have people like Dan that are really good writers. So I like to collaborate with people now to say, look, I can create an emotion through music, and then they can write some lyrics, and then I can even rap those lyrics as well. So that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment.
So you have mentioned about like mentors and mentoring and sort of self-development, personal development. What do you think is sort of the best advice that you've like been given or found? And what do you think is the best, like what would you pass on, I suppose? What's the thing that's kind of helped you the most?
I definitely, we talked about it a little bit before, but yeah, definitely facing the fear and just doing it anyway. I feel like in life, you will always get opportunities that are hopefully beyond what you believe you can do. And I would definitely suggest taking them. Also, depending on where your head's at, if you feel like I was quite a negative person, I felt, and I just spent 2 years just constantly listening to positive messages, and that just helped rewire my brain. My missus found it really irritating. So just be careful guys, because a loud American positive voice constantly in the house can be quite annoying. But it helped me, and she appreciates it now.
Nigel, thank you so much for such an inspiring and insightful interview. Although Beats Bus are on pause at the moment, like the rest of the world, to find out more, including buy-in beats such as those in the intro, just drop them a line at contact@beats-bus.co.uk.
If you want to see more of Nigel's work, you can follow him on Instagram at 96Prez, and Prez is spelled Prez. Or if you're looking for more information on the award-winning show Canary and the Crow and the production company behind it, Middlechild, all 2021 plans are on their website, middlechildtheatre.co.uk. However, we'll put all of their social media links in our show notes.
We hope you've enjoyed the episode and want to keep us on repeat. You can follow, subscribe and like us on your podcast platform of choice, and slide into our DMs on Instagram by following us at On Repeat the Podcast. All information will be included in the show notes.
On Repeat was made, produced and edited by us, and the theme music is an original piece by Ellie's jazz band Fujiyama and wonderfully resampled by Dee, the producer for the podcast. All of our guests give us permission to use their music. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget to keep it on repeat.